What's going on, guys? Welcome in to the Autopsy. I figured the game's not dead, but the first weekend of testing, it's dead. It's over. We'll never get that back again. We'll never be back in that moment again. The moment of, the first weekend of testing. So we're just going to do an autopsy every week. Some weeks it'll be Burns, and some weeks it'll be some other people. Trying to stick with Burns because he's a doctor, so he can at least do some type of a competent autopsy, right? So that's probably.
Can I tell you the first surgery I ever scrubbed into?
Yeah, please tell me about that.
Okay, I think you especially will enjoy this. It was a reverse vasectomy. It's called a vasovasostomy.
Okay.
So you're essentially taking the vas deferens, which takes sperm from the testicles, ejaculatory ducts out, and it's like a spaghetti noodle that you're trying to stitch together,
Okay.
and so it's just you get these tiny little stitches. I'm in this little needle, this curved needle that I was trying to hook in there. Tiniest thing ever, never done it. I have a little bit of a tremor, like an essential tremor, just slightest.
Okay.
But when you're working with like millimeters, making a huge difference, yeah, it is kind of hard. So, anyways, I'm doing it and trying to focus, and the head doc comes up behind me and he's like, "Hey, he's like, if you come here to this program, I want you to fix that shaky shit." And I was like, oh gosh. Oh, I was like, oh, that's the okay. All right, yes, thank you, doctor. And so working on it, doing it and stuff, and then the doctor. I was working with one of the fellows, and the head doctor came over to me and he's like, "Hey, you think the scrotum looks a little big?" And I was like, I mean, he's 50, 60 years old. He's like, "I think we could do him a favor." I was like, "What?" He's like, let's tighten up the coin purse for him and we'll talk to him about it afterwards. And I was like, I had just taken like a medical ethics class. I was like, he hasn't consented to this. Like, I didn't know. I think they might have had a conversation about it previously, but I didn't know about it. It just seemed like he was just spur of the moment. So, I mean, my first surgery, I helped do a scrotoplasty on this gentleman. And I mean, the result at the end, the head doc came over and said, "Look at that. Don't you think that looks better?" And I said, Sure. Yep. I hope it does." And that was my first surgery ever. It didn't, luckily there was no post-mortem, there was no autopsy, the patient didn't end up in morbidity and mortality rounds. Everything went fine. But that was my first surgery ever.
Okay. Well, I was not expecting that.
Bro, you never know what you're gonna get with me.
Yeah, clearly. So people are saying that your audio sounds roomy, sounds bad. Can you talk a little bit now? I just turned off something on my headset to see if it's
Test.
Oh
Testing
God,
now.
you're
How's
so
this?
quiet like that. Holy shit.
Ooh.
Try again.
Test.
How chat, let me know. Yeah, super
Let's see
quiet.
if I can
But I can
change it over.
No. Don't
here.
change anything on your side. Please.
No, I'm gonna start adjusting stuff at the same time.
Fucking shit. I hate you so much. Okay. Now try talking. It should be better.
Test. How is it now?
Yeah, that should be better. I jumped
Okay.
you up about 4 decibels there.
Am I still
fine
roomy?
now? Okay, good, great. We got it. Okay.
Cool.
So I disabled the surround sound in my headset.
Stuff.
So whatever, we got it fixed. Okay. So before we get started on the show, we had somebody come in with the question. The Rad Remington said, "Is the action combat going to be like New World?" Do you wanna tackle that?
Sure, yeah. So if you want it to be, you can get it as close to New World as you want, or you can get it to as close to pure tab target as you want. I played around with both. If you play a melee weapon and you have a bunch of action abilities, like you can make this game very action oriented. You can push the limits on that. The targeting system still is fairly tab-ish regardless, even if you are doing full action. But if you've got a melee weapon and you're swinging in front of you, it is a full cleave, and you can spin around and have that be action. But then if you're doing a ranged weapon, you can do that too. It's not great when you're in action mode. I thought it was okay, and apparently they're going to be working on the targeting a little bit more
Yes.
as things go on. But I used like a spellbook, for example, and the targeting feels way better with tab and messing around with that stuff and auto attacks. I mean, really, you can play. They did such a good job with the design of the combat that old people are really going to like the tab target nature of stuff, and the kids are probably going to like the more action oriented stuff for the hybrid combat. So it's not quite as far action combat as New World, but you can get pretty close.
The only thing I will add to that is over the years when trying to like define action combat versus tab combat, try to figure out what actually is that. The one thing that I found that absolutely separates action and tab is in action, when you fire a arrow or a bullet, it goes in a straight direction and it either hits what it hits or it doesn't. And in tab, it curves to find the target that whatever you had targeted. And in this game, the bullet will curve to find the target. So from that perspective, this is a tab target game. You cannot dodge somebody's arrow. It'll just go around the rock. You know what I mean? So your aiming skill is not relevant in this game. I don't care how good you are at first person shooters. It's not going to help you in this game. However, like you said, especially for melee, it can feel extremely action oriented because you do actually have to hit what you're trying to hit when you're swinging in melee. So yes, it definitely, like you said, if you're in melee, it's very actiony. If you're if you're in ranged, it's a little, it kind of goes back and forth.
How'd you feel about that when you were in melee and you were using the kind of action stuff and swinging? Do you like that, or do you prefer just kind of a hard lock where you start the light attacks and it only hits the one person you have selected?
I absolutely loved the way, I play a fighter, so I'm up in the middle of it. I love the way the action combat feels. I'll be honest with you. I'm a 44-year-old, started out in 1998, been playing tab target games my whole fucking life. And the only reason I ever put the game in tab mode is to need my mouse cursor to click on UI elements. I play exclusively in action. So
Awesome.
I thought it was great. I will say, when I've played a Ranger and Mage and some of the pre-alpha 2 testing, the targeting, as you mentioned, in the action targeting is not where I want it to be. Like, I didn't feel like, there was times when I was looking at this thing and I would hit a button and it would shoot at a guy over there. And I'm like, right. I think I'm starting to understand how that works, but it's still, it's a little janky. I loved the fact that while you are in action combat, you still have access to tab targeting. You can still press tab and cycle through the different targets while in action combat. So yeah, I think it's great. Action camera is great. I think it's the way that I'm going to play the game. I think this, when it's all said and done, that's the way the majority of people are going to play the game. That's what I think.
Especially with melee.
I do want to say hi because we got so many regulars: Ladulu, Wizzy, Penumbra. I saw AV Gaming in here, Osiris the Weary. So I just want to say hi to all of you guys who come in here. Drunken Carpenters in here, just coming in and hanging out with us and all that. I really do appreciate it. And Rad Remington says, "Thank you for answering my question. I'm looking forward to phase 3 when I join in." Dude, it's $20. Why didn't you just buy that? I get, people do whatever they want to do, but I'm just kind of like, dude, when it's just a $20 difference between that, I would have paid the other, but yeah. Aberrat says, "Man, the break you took really impacted your viewer count. Love the content. Hope it gets backed up to what it was in the past." I'm not concerned with Twitch viewer count. And I know that that's, a lot of people view that as like the end all be all. I'm concerned with YouTube viewer count, and my YouTube views are as high or higher than they've ever been. And it's just going to get bigger. So I'm not concerned about live views on Twitch right now. So yeah, just FYI. But also, I was getting like 15 to 18 people during the depth of the hype death, and during between Alpha 2, and there's 45 in here now and 15 on YouTube, so that's 60 people. People, I know a lot of YouTubers and our Twitch streamers that would kill for 60 people watching them. So
100%.
I am grateful as hell for every one of you guys who come here to watch that. I want to make that real clear.
Drunken Carpenter said he was at church, but he's leaving on to show support. So appreciate that.
Yes, Drunken Carpenter is awesome. One of my guildies.
Cool.
There.
Bro, how was the guildy experience? I know you outed me. I popped in and I had a question because I knew the organized chaos gentleman would understand. I didn't know I was not in a safe space. I thought I was in a protected environment and that there was no such thing as a stupid question.
Right.
Apparently there is such thing as a stupid question. At chat, I didn't know what a tilde was.
Yep.
I went in there to go ask in what I thought was a safe place, my own safe space. I just love safe spaces. I went in there and I asked. I was like, "Hey, how do I switch weapons from the range to the melee?" And they're like, "Oh," Vladis was like, "Hit the tail D," and I was like, "What is a tail D?" I was like, "Man, this Oklahoma accent is so thick. I couldn't understand anything." And then someone in a very neutral accent, some kind of Midwest neutral accent, then said, "Oh, it's the tilde," and I had to ask what that was. So I didn't know what the tilde was, and then Zealand outed me in his live stream for it. But I've forgiven him since, and we're back on speaking terms.
The hateful messages we sent back and forth on each other last night on Discord. I mean, it's pretty nasty stuff, but we recovered. We recovered. So Penumbra just donated $20 Canadian and said, "Here, buy some more views." Penumbra, thank you so much, man. I appreciate you hitting me up with the Canadian money. You're a good dude, man. Thank you. Are you guys ready to get this thing started? Let's get this thing really started. This autopsy really started. So let us talk about what Ashes of Creation can be when it is unburdened by what has been. What has been is last weekend's test. Okay, let's be clear here.
Starting off strong.
Yeah, starting off real strong. So I have the first question that I have, and I think it's the most important question. It's the thing that you gotta answer. Everybody's got to answer. It's the one everybody wants. So, Dr. Burns, was it fun? Did you have fun playing the game when you could get in?
Heck yes.
Okay. Can you expand on that at all?
Yes. Oh yeah, and I'll do that now.
Yeah,
sure.
Do that now.
So man, I thought it was a blast. Like the first of all, just exploring. I mean, there were so many moments that I was like, "Oh, holy crap. This is where the Bard live stream was. Oh wait, this is
okay.
Oh my gosh, finding those locations, like where they did the cleric thing again over by that Minotaur area.
Yes.
And just being like, I know this area, and just wandering around. Like my group was off killing stuff up in the 10 feet away, but I was running around exploring and looking at stuff and getting screenshots, and then I'd have to run back and throw some heals their way. And dude, it was a good time. I had a lot of fun, a little bit from just being a fanboy, but then also it provided that feeling of being in a good MMO again. It's like a good new car when you sit in that and you have the new car smell. Ah man, it is nice. And man, good cars can have that pleasing feeling for a while, and I think that's what we got with Ashes. It felt really good. Did you have fun? I mean, I know Organized Chaos is a bunch of bikers. It is a biker gang in there.
Yeah.
They will eat you alive. But how was your experience?
I mean, I was ecstatic. I lost count of how many times on Friday night I went, God, this is fun. This is fun. Like it's one of those things where you don't even realize like how much on auto. I didn't even realize how much I'd been on autopilot when it came to MMOs for a long long time. I just log in and play them. Like when we tried New World, I just logged in. I just kind of went around and like I played it because it was a new MMO that was out,
Sure.
not because it was fun. And of course, in a few weeks, the novelty wore off and all that of New World. But
the novelty and the content ran out.
Yeah. At no point was I like, oh my God, this is so much fun. This is so good. I'd be like, well, literally, I said a billion times, I really hope this can last till Alpha 2. Like, I hope the fun of New World can last till Alpha 2. Boy, that didn't happen.
That is rough.
Also, Vince, Bravo Vince subbed while you were talking earlier. I just want to thank you, Vince. I appreciate it, man.
Go, Vince.
Yeah, let's go, Vince. But yes, I had a great time. That social aspect of MMOs was back. That's what
100%.
That's what I missed. And I saw a lot of chat and a lot of Reddit posts and a lot of forum posts, a lot of Discord talk, people saying there needs to be more soloable content in this game. And I have got to caution Intrepid not to listen to that. That is going to kill. Like, what's going to happen is you'll chase the solo crowd because it's a bigger crowd than the hardcore crowd. The hardcore crowd will leave because you no longer are doing what they're asking you to do, which is make the game social and forcing you to interact with other players. And then the solo crowd, yeah, they'll come in, but as soon as they burn through the content that you made super and easy and convenient for them, they leave too. And you're left with no one.
100%.
And they come back for expansions and new content like WoW and you know, ESO and those games. So don't make this game soloable. I understand questing and you want to be able to do quests. I would almost suggest they put in quests, lots of questing. There should be lots of questing that you can do solo or whatever. But the last step of the quest requires a full group. Like, get together with other people and either cooperate or conflict with them. That's what needs to happen. So, but that's getting off the topic here. The question is, was it fun? It was an absolute blast.
What were your fun moments? What were the moments where you had a smile on your face, where you actively said out loud, this is fun? What were those moments for you?
We got jumped.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, we got jumped. And that part of my next question is about this. So I'll get your take on this here in a minute. But no, we went to the Halls Adjudication, and there was one person from a guild called Syndicate, which I didn't know at the time is Nice Gaming's guild.
That's nice.
That's Nice's guild. And so we went inside. There was just one person there, and they actually walked out of the entrance to Hall's Adjudication and was standing at the Ember Spring over there. And so we went in the entrance, and we were like pulling stuff out of the entrance and, you know, fighting and trying to get some levels and all that. And we got to the point where we kind of used up all our resources and we needed to take a break. So everybody sat down to like recover. And I turned around and I noticed there was about 10 to 12 Syndicate people there. And I had the thought process of like, you know, if they wanted to jump us, we would be up shit creek right now. And then right as that happened, right as I was having that thought, all of them turned purple in the same, like instantaneous at the same time. And I went, fuck. And so they jumped us. And I mean, not only do they have a numbers advantage because we had 8, but we were all half dead, didn't have mana, etc. So they wiped us and cleared us out of there. But I was just like, that was fun. Like, okay, we lost a little of XP. They wanted that spot more than we did, clearly. So we'll go find somewhere else to level. So that was fun. I also had a great time. We found a spot on the Church of the Seven Stars. Did you go in there?
No.
Okay.
Yeah, but I know of it.
So we went up to the top, and there's like a platform right here, and there's a platform over here, and they're connected by a bridge kind of thing. It's not really a bridge, but a bridge kind of thing. And you could also go up the stairs and go onto the bridge with another platform. And there's clumps of 5 or 6 mobs on all 3, and then there's a boss at the top too. And so there was this little hallway that existed behind that the space between them. And so we were literally going back and forth, pulling the mobs. They would come around the corner and clump up for us, and we would just AoE them all down. Several higher level 2-star, 3-star mobs at the same time. Do that, go over to the other area, do that, go back and forth. And then when the boss spawned at the top, we'd go up to the top and kill the boss and get the loot from the boss. And I was just like, that was fun. We figured out a little AoE grinding pattern we could do. And the experience was moving, just move. And yeah, it was great. We had a great time. And then Ludu says, just a natural pug right on the spot. Oh, that's not what I thought he was talking about. Never mind. But yes, I ended up later there on 2 different pug groups that found that spot and were doing the same thing that I got called into. So it's clearly already like a grinding spot that people go to.
Right.
So yeah, that was a lot of fun. Getting jump was a lot of fun. And then the one last thing on that, that when we found that spot, it was actually after we'd gotten jumped and killed by Nice's group. And so Mibari, who you know, does a lot of voice work for your channel.
Yes, he does.
Forgot to turn off his flagging, his combatant status. And so there was, at one point, there was 2 groups up there. We were on one platform and they were on another platform. And Mibari just, accident, whatever, he shot an arrow over there and he's flagged. So it actually hit them. And he typed in chat like, my bad, didn't know I was flagged, not trying to start nothing, whatever. And they all just flagged up and came over the deal. And we wiped their asses out and cleared them out. And then we had the whole thing for ourselves. So, that was fun. That you to me, it was the emergent gameplay. Everything there's new shit happening all the time. It's difficult. You might die. You might lose your stuff. Like, it's not boring. You're not like, I've been saying this. I've been hammering this for 3 years. It's not predetermined. What you're going to do when you log on today is not predetermined because you don't know what's going to happen because the gameplay is so emergent. So yeah, that's what I really enjoyed about the game. So I already did. So do you care to share your favorite grind spot from the or are we getting into NDA situation here?
I mean, Halls of Adjudication, I think, was the best. Like, that's what I liked. That's where I liked going.
We didn't get in there because Nice kicked us the fuck out. We didn't have enough people to really go fight back at the time. So I didn't worry, I wasn't too worried about it. And then I found out it was Nice's guild and I was like, okay. So then I thought about messaging Nice and being like, so can we agree not to jump each other? Get a non-aggression pact going on. Yeah. So I want to catch up on a little bit of the chat. Penumbra said, yeah, fuck those solo players. Arcade with no pay to win. AOC, group play for the win. Yep. Didn't Nice apologize later, or was that something else? If he apologized, he didn't apologize directly to me. But if he apologized to like my guildies or whatever when he saw them later, that's fine. And he don't have to apologize. I am not a PvP player. I don't go seek out PvP, but I'm not scared of it either. And it doesn't offend me. That's just part of the game. Go out there and play. So there no apologies whatsoever are needed. They wanted that grind spot more than we did. Just look at it that way. Sodora says, being able to travel solo to meet friends, I would appreciate. Roads shouldn't have mobs. I've heard about a couple other people say that as well. I have had no issue. I can travel across the world and have no problem. I've had zero problems traveling across the world on my mount. So I don't know what that is.
Bro,
exactly.
You didn't get chased by wolves?
You go around the fucking wolves.
Yeah, but like wolves would still aggro to you even while you're on a road, and the wolves are, I mean, hey, you played pre-alpha 2, right?
I did. So it may just be experience.
Exactly. You understood ahead of time, hey, the wolves are going to be faster than my mount, because I remember I didn't bother giving the wolves a wide enough berth. And so I aggroed them while I was on the road. I was like, oh, this should be fine. And then boom, they just start biting me. And I didn't like the distance between where they would attack and where I was and where that damage would happen. I really didn't like that.
That's some tab target stuff right there.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. And it feels, I mean, obviously that stuff needs to it'll get fine tuned, but that was a point of feedback. But I didn't like how they were faster than the mount, and I just had to get off and fight them every time. And I was like, this isn't great, but whatever.
Okay, so next question. This question I wrote down specifically for you. I think I know the answer, but we're going to ask it anyways. Did you, sir, engage in any non-consensual PvP?
Non-consensual. So I didn't attack any unflagged.
Okay. So you only attacked flagged people.
And people that were corrupted. Okay. I didn't attack because I had no reason to. Every time we were in a grinding spot, no one else, like a couple like groups would come around and then they'd take off because we were usually churning through everything pretty quickly, and we had it on kind of a timer, right? By the time things were respawning, we were getting there.
Yeah.
So they couldn't really do anything in there. So if they had, though, it's nice to be able to have that option.
Yes.
Like, hey, bro, let's work this out, because it's a, you know how the internet has anonymity and people can say really nasty things because they think there's no consequence, but they don't do that in real life because there are consequences.
There are consequences, yes.
Yeah. And it's the same thing, bro. Yeah. Like, I love that it makes interactions genuine in game, because it's like, hey, if you're misbehaving or you're acting a fool, there are consequences here. And I will happily explain these consequences to you in the form of turning you into a little pile of ash.
Right.
I loved the option to do that, but I didn't need to. I mean, it was fun just going around doing our thing. And yeah, there were a couple groups that were flagged up, and we were flagged up, and we kind of squared off and fought them, and great time. And then I clipped that the corrupted guy, Shobek, that we killed it. Dude, he was such a G about it too, man. I watched his stream afterwards, and he reacted to my video where I clipped it, and he wasn't, because the parts that I clipped the parts that I clipped for the video, he was very like sure of himself. He was like, oh, little Harry Potter boys. But then when he watched it again, he was way more down to earth about stuff, and so he was great about it. So and then he ended up subbing to the channel, which was super cool. So I enjoyed watching his stream later too, or just having it on in the background. And so that was fun, killing that corrupted player. It was interesting to see, though, you didn't have to, like, for him to attack us because he was corrupted and we weren't flagged. He had to hit the flag button, or he had to go through some extra step to attack us.
Oh yeah,
which it wasn't automatic, and which I think in the future it should just be automatic.
Well, but you might not want to attack people. You need to be able to turn that off.
Yeah. I guess maybe a toggleable function.
Let me give you a scenario. You turn red. You're out trying to grind PvE to get rid of your red. So you're just fighting things in front of you, and then somebody runs and jumps in front of your sword, and now you've hit them, and now your corruption is going to get expanded. You got to be able to turn it on and off. I've had that thought too, because I was like, God, when they attacked us, I wasn't ready, because I was like trying to find the keys to turn on. It's Alt F, by the way, if you don't know. If you hold Alt, you'll hit anything while holding it, or you can hit Alt F to turn that on or off permanently. Just FYI for anybody who doesn't know. I think
maybe that's part of the thing, is just the key bindings, learning what they are, because it was just very I felt like starting off I was very clunky with everything. So, so I get what you're saying, and I think that's a good point.
Yeah. I will say hi to Thogly, who jumped in and is talking. So what's up, Thogly? How you doing, man? You guys go check out Thogly's Twitch channel if you're into dwarven lore and RP and all that stuff. Thogly's the man for all that stuff. So I think it's really funny if anybody had called Vegas and took bets on which one of us would engage in more non-consensual PvP in the first weekend, you would have gotten great fucking odds if you chose me. You would have got great odds. That's really funny, but okay. So did you play around?
I liked walk softly but carry a big stick,
yeah,
bro. Okay. I mean, I don't like to go stir up nonsense for no reason, but if there's a reason,
we'll start.
You're gonna find out.
I got you. Did you play around with crafting at all?
No, I just did straight adventuring stuff. I got to animal taming. I think I got to the next rung up. But it felt super grindy. All of that stuff, the gathering, holy cow, man. Like I did a little bit tree chopping, and there was just, it's very grindy, and I'm still not convinced that we won't have a wipe in the next few weeks. And so I was like, do I spend a bunch of time leveling up my artisan class stuff right now? Maybe I'll wait. I might wait a little bit to do that still.
Okay, interesting. Okay, that's interesting. My guild
I
is.
love artisan stuff.
Yeah.
That's PvP artisan.
Okay.
That's my number
Okay.
two.
Okay. Okay. Interesting. My guild has spent a significant amount of time and have plans for more significant amount of time spent just organizing and coming up with how we're gonna that workflows for all the artisanry stuff is gonna go on. So that's pretty hardcore for what my guild has going on.
So what did you do? What's your artisan? I mean, you only have, you're limited by time right now, not
Yes.
by depth.
Yes, that's correct. But we do have it separated out where we have dedicated people for every craft and every processing,
Cool.
and then obviously gathering, everybody can just do whatever. But so, for example, like I'm the leather worker for the guild, and then I'm also doing not animal husbandry, hunting. And
Yeah,
so
cool.
when our group was out running around, when I was the only one in our group who's dedicating themselves to hunting, if somebody saw a huntable pet, they would call me over there to do it instead of them doing it. But I'm like, but if you're out in the world by yourself and you see a petable wolf, go fucking get it. That might be a mount for somebody, you know? So
Sure.
don't just, it's both ways. So yeah.
Which, by the way, great video about how to get that mount. I thought that was great.
Yep. I started thinking about it. And I'm like, it would have been better if I could have. It just would have been impossible to get it done that fast. But if I could have got it done on the first weekend, if I'd have dedicated myself to it, I could have. But I was trying to leave my guild and do other things. To have me actually walking around on the mount would be a better video. But the reality is that all those videos are coming soon. The videos where we can actually show you what we're talking about. That's all going to start coming soon. I have 2 guide videos that'll be coming out this week. One of which I'm not going to say the name of because I don't want anybody stealing it. Not that I think you would, but others might. That I think are going to be. Cool. They're going to help people out. So and then I don't know if you saw. I think you said you watched my live stream. I didn't get any footage. None. No footage. Because I wasn't recording Friday night. I was more concentrated on my guild and doing that or whatever. Saturday I got dehydration, which I've never gotten before in my life. That sucks, by the way. I don't recommend it. And then Sunday the damn DDoS attack happened. I was planning on streaming and recording all day on Sunday, and I whatever. So we'll do footage next week. No big deal.
What time? I wonder on Friday, this coming Friday. What time do you think it's going to start?
I think they said it's going to be the same. They plan on starting.
Friday,
they're planning on starting at noon Central Time on Friday and going to midnight Sunday. They delayed it by 3 hours. Is the reason why it didn't start till a little later. But it's supposed to start at noon Central Time and end at midnight Central Time on Sunday. Is what they originally said, and I'm pretty sure they said that's going to be the schedule for it going forward. And then of course the PTR people on the PTR are testing it every day.
Oh, right. So, but you can't record from the PTR. I
can't record from the PTR. I can tell you that we are PTR testing. I can tell you what the patch notes for the PTR tests are. But we cannot record it or make videos or stream it or anything like that. So,
right.
Yeah. So there you go. All right. So next question. Now, you said you didn't play around with the crafting system, so I think I probably know the answer to this question. I also know it because it's the answer almost everyone else has. Did you find any copper?
No. I wasn't looking for it, though.
Yeah. I found 2 copper nodes early on in the testing.
Gosh.
And that's it. Just so those of you who are watching know and are aware, that is not how it's supposed to work. There is supposed to be copper and zinc in the world for you to find. It's not supposed to be like that. KCSMMOs, thank you for the follow, man. Appreciate it. It's not supposed to work that way. So yeah.
Lulu said he found some.
Yeah, I found a whole ass copper node. Rich as hell, boys.
Nice. Nice.
Yeah, my conspiracy theory is that the DDoS attack was a Russian botnet group that were ransoming Steven for copper node spawns.
Sure.
Not for money, for copper node spawns. That's my deep conspiracy theory there. So yeah, no copper nodes for you. Got it. All right, so let's get into the main thing that I wanted to bring you here for, which is basically the good, bad, and the ugly from what you found in the testing. So I'm gonna let you go first. What was the good? What was the thing that just made you go, this is the thing, this is what I'm gonna play for the next 15 years?
So The good was the systems, the design of the game that we've been talking about, we've been making videos about for forever. The design was actually implemented in the game, and I love the design. That in and of itself, the ability to the flagging, all that stuff, that's great. The sand park
Yes,
elements of
yes,
it,
yes.
love it. I mean, I thought that was great. I loved not being on an on rails experience. You have to do this and you have to do this before
Yes.
you can do this. I mean, it was so nice. It was freeing to be able to go and do stuff. I
Yep.
loved that. I thought the world was immersive. I thought it was well made. I enjoyed. I mean, there was one. I went from Marilith to New Ayla in one trip,
Yeah.
just to take it in,
Yep.
right? Just
Yep.
to be like, what does this look like? And that was when I was noting the god rays, how nice they looked, and just kind of breathing it all in, and really enjoyed the world. I thought it was really well done, and so those were the good things. Oh, and then playing with the homies, playing
Yeah.
with a bunch of dudes again, just having a good time, rolling around, talking about what's working, what's not, and the challenge. Also, you were talking about how you liked how it wasn't boring, bro. I'm in the exact same boat. There's an adrenaline part,
Yeah.
right? Like when you would, if you think about the moments in your life where you've had adrenaline rushes, you remember them. I mean, the number of so slightly odd. In high school, I got in fights, like fairly violent fist fights, and nothing, never any weapons one time, but never any like deadly weapons. But bro, I remember every one of those vividly
You're right.
because the adrenaline rush, your adrenaline, your it when people have their adrenal glands removed, I think I might have mentioned this in a video. When you have your adrenal glands removed, you have a hard time consolidating your memories because there's such a strong link between like cortisol and memory.
Right.
And so, man, when you roll up and you see something else, you see something else get aggroed, you see another squad rolling up close to you, and it's like, oh, is this go time? You start to, it
Yeah.
makes
You
your
sit
heart
up a little
pound a
bit.
little bit. Yep. Yeah.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
lean forward with the
Yeah. Yeah.
controller.
You do the
It's
lean
that
forward. Yeah.
meme.
Yeah.
And the challenge feels good. It is engaging, it's enthralling, you are engrossed in what you're playing, and it's super immersive. So I love the challenge. I completely agree with you. I don't want a bunch more solo content. Sure, if they want to have some quests as a side thing you can do, but even then, like I said this last night, I hate main story quests.
Yeah.
Not a common take for MMO players.
Yep.
I can't stand it. So when I was playing New World, there's a main story quest and you get an Azoth staff, and bro, I had like the tier 2 Azoth staff, and in this game was like 6 months in, and everyone else had the tier 5 one, and I couldn't have cared less about the main story quest.
Right. Right. Right.
And go figure, the only main story quest, the sweat of your brow thing, half the things were bugged in it, right? Like all the crafting stations,
Yeah.
especially right at first,
Yeah.
they weren't working. And I was like, prime example, why not to have a main story quest?
Right.
Because when Elder Scrolls Online came out, I played that launch, few months. I played it. The problem was medical school started shortly after. And so I could only play it for, I think, 3 months. And I played it pretty intense for 3 months because I knew med school I was going to have to stop gaming, and I'm glad I did.
Yeah.
But the main story quest on ESO was bugged and I was one of the first few people on my server to get to, I think it was like level 40-ish, and the MSQ there, the guy wasn't spawning. He just wouldn't spawn. It said kill whoever, and the guy wouldn't ever spawn ever. And they put out an announcement. They're like, hey, we know this isn't working. We're working to address this. Bro, it still took him like a week and a half. So I don't like MSQ stuff. I mean, so that was the good. I feel like the bad. Do you mind if I go into the bad a little bit?
Well, no, I was gonna I'll go good,
Okay.
then you'll do bad,
Yep.
I'll do
Yep.
bad.
You.
I do
Okay.
want to
Good.
highlight a couple of things. Vexillion says, I found enough copper to make a copper wand, made one, and then killed a goblin shaman and got a better copper wand. That is absolutely hilarious. I do want to say hi to Magic Pipe. Just jumped into the conversation, man. Appreciate you always stopping in. And then Ladulu, getting back to you're talking about when the people roll up on you and you're not sure what to do with the comment of the day: butt clenched, eyes not blinking, palms sweaty, mom spaghetti. So that's pretty good, man. So for me, the good, if I'm gonna look at like what doesn't need to be touched. Like as good as I think the combat is, there's areas that can be improved, the targeting, whatever. But if when I'm trying to think about the good, I'm literally thinking about we're good. They don't need to mess with this anymore. They can leave this exactly how it is and move on to other things. For me, it's the character movement. How it feels when you're moving around.
Yeah, that's a good point.
It is the mount movement is not as good. FYI, that's what we were testing today on the PTR, and it is much, much better and looks way cooler. The horse like starts to lean its head in the direction that you're.
Cool.
Yeah, it's very, very good. So it looks way cooler. But right now, the character movement is fantastic. It feels to me exactly like it should feel. It is.
I agree.
It's good. Combat is awesome, and I think that they are very, very close to having combat in that position where we don't need to mess with that anymore. But yes, the movement is absolutely beautiful, and I feel like there was never a time. You know what I think about? I think back to during the melee weapon stream where they were showing the melee combat. And they had that developer on. I don't remember who the developer was. Sorry to whoever it was. I don't remember them all. But and probably they Trad. Probably might have been Trad. They said the way they judged movement in combat is at any given moment in time when you're trying to attack, freeze, look down at your keyboard. What button are you pushing as far as directional? And that's the way your character should be moving it. He said that because talking about the root motion versus split body and all that. And he said freeze it, and that's what it should be, and that's what I felt like. There was never a time where I was like, oh, I wanted to do this, but the keys didn't work, or I couldn't make that wasn't a possibility or whatever. I could do every last thing that I wanted to do. So movement is awesome. Nikki Stack says, "Yo, Zill, your recent YouTube vid's been fire, mate. I appreciate it, man. Thank you so much. We got a lot more coming. We're not too far away from all that." Kaiser, one of my guildies, says climbing is so smooth in this game. This early, New World wasn't good at launch. And yes, the climbing animation is a little fast. Like it's so fast that it borders on silly. Like how fast you can just boop, and scale up a rock at times, but there's no problems with it. Like it works every single time you want it to do. So, I think they could slow it down a touch, but that's and if they don't, I don't give a shit. That's fine. Okay, so we're gonna move on to the bad, and before we move on to the bad, I do want to put a disclaimer out there. Burns and I are both keenly aware that this is a testing environment, and all of this stuff is 99.9% going to be improved. This is just things we notice right now that are like, we got to work on this. And in particular, maybe something that jumped out to you that you're like, I wish this had been a little better or whatever.
So to start off, my problem though was I had such low expectations that I was trying to make a list as I was playing. I was journaling my feelings, Zillin. I was as I often do.
Does anybody in chat want to jump in here and replace Burns? Because I gotta get this guy out of here.
As I often talk about my feelings. I found myself like the good section. I mean, tons to write on.
Yeah.
The bad section though was interesting because I was like, okay, is there a foundational issue that I have here? Are there any issues with the fundamental designs that we're playing? And of those fundamental designs, the answer was no. I thought all of that except for I hate opening quests. I hate reading when I'm gaming. I will listen to a podcast or something, no problem. I'll listen to books on tape. But when I work, a freaking 10-hour day, and then I'm reading stuff all day, patient charts, whatever, and then I come home and I just want to kind of turn my brain off. I want to play. I don't want it to be a quiz. I don't want it to be this complex little puzzle that I have to solve and stuff. I'm not down to read paragraphs and guess what I'm supposed to do based off of that. So I hate questing. I've always hated questing. I don't like when I feel like there's hey, go talk to Joe Schmo and do this activity. And if it takes me more than 5 minutes to find Joe Schmo, I'm like, okay, I'm done.
Yep.
Where's something fun to do? Because this is not a fun activity for me.
Gotcha.
I've done enough quizzes. I feel like I'm okay at quizzes and tests. I mean, I got
you are a
got to where
doctor.
I am by being okay. But man, can't stand that stuff. So I couldn't stand the sweat of your brow. Couldn't stand it. Just that it was a buggy mess. It wasn't interesting. It wasn't fun. I've done some quests before that I actually thought were somewhat entertaining and fun. There's a quest in New World where you were supposed to go kill X number of rabbits, and you're like, kill rabbits. They can't attack you in New World. It's just these little.
Oh yeah. I know what you're talking about. The town board quest to kill a rabbit. Yeah.
You go kill them, but then unbeknownst to you, by killing all of those rabbits, it spawns a ghost rabbit, right? It spawns like this evil thing that tries to kill you, and then the quest objective switches instantaneously, right? And says, oh, now you're supposed to kill this ghost. And it's like, oh man, that's kind of cool. Or one was like, get a bunch of flowers and you're not really sure why, and then you gather all the flowers and you're supposed to put them on this grave to celebrate like this person's life. I was like, oh, that's kind of a touching thing, right? So but man, sweat of your brow, couldn't stand it. I mean, it's so easy to change stuff like that. So honestly, my bad things are just little nitpicks.
Sure.
Because the big things were all fantastic. Character movement, you were mentioning that. I freaking loved it. It was great.
Yeah. Okay. So to give you just a little bit of a background on Sweat of Your Brow, you would have really hated that quest a month ago.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, verbal NDA's lifted. Tell me about it.
Yeah, I'm going to. That's exactly what I'm about to do. Originally, it was not weathered oak that was right there that was instantly popping and respawning. It was just oak. You had to go out into the world, find oak, come back, go out of the world, find granite, come back, go out of the world, find snowdrop, come back. That quest took like 45 minutes, and that's if you could find the stuff, because when they started adding more and more testers in and people were jumping in, everybody's trying to do Sweat of Your Brow because it gives you a horse. And so there's no fucking oak, and people are traveling further and further and further and further away, risking their life because now the monsters get higher level and whatnot, just to finish the stupid starter quest. So that's when they made that change to put it all right in town and make it super convenient and easy for you to get that quest done and get your first mount. So I'm glad they did that. I will say this. I hope that quest goes away at launch. Like
and replace. By the way, Planet Dwarf just popped in. What up, bro?
Oh, what's up, Planet Dwarf?
What do you want them to replace it with?
I don't know what I want them to replace it with, but I don't want to be given a horse. I don't want people to be given a horse within 12 minutes of logging in.
You want them to experience the feel of you want that to be part of vertical progression.
Yes. Okay. Getting your first, like, maybe it's just a nostalgia thing, but like getting your first horse has always been a moment
it's a big deal.
in an MMO. And so them just being like, here, have a horse. I'm like, I'm not sure I'm down with that.
Sure.
So
it's a status symbol too, right? Because that's when I didn't have my horse because things were bugged out at first with Sweat of Your Brow. And so I didn't complete it. Every time I saw someone march past me with their horse, I was
going to punch him in the face,
man. Yeah, it's like I felt like, man, that's something I want to aspire to, right? And it creates, it was. So I agree. Like in classic vanilla back in 2004, you had to be level 40 to get your mount, and that was an achievement. When you would see someone riding around with that mount, it's like, oh, Like,
Yep.
good for you.
Yes.
That's a big deal.
Yes. Agreed completely.
So I think that's a good point.
Yeah. So I'd like this. I personally, I'm really hoping this is for Alpha 2. It's, to get people go, all that stuff. And I'm really hoping at launch, you will not just be handed mounts. The first animal husbandrist to level up enough and you do everything you got to do to make a horse, and somebody's riding on a horse is going to be like, oh shit, like that person's,
That'd be sick.
So that's what I'm hoping, but it may not go that way. And if it doesn't, it's certainly not a deal breaker for me. So
what do you think about starting content though? Like when you come into the game, there's a lot, right? There's a lot of things. There's a kind of systems overload almost. Like, hey, there's all these things to do. You're getting used to the preset hotkeys. And how would you like your introductory experience to be?
I've thought about this a lot, because to me, one of the things that the Intrepid staff absolutely has to nail for this game to really succeed is teaching the new players, especially uninformed about Ashes players, about the node system, how it works, and how fucking important it is that they engage with the node system. So I've spent a lot of time thinking about this. I don't have really good answers, because the only thing that I ever come to was completely refuted by you just 5 minutes ago. Because my answer is, well, you got to give them all the information. But you've already said, I'm not fucking reading paragraphs. I'm not doing it. And I'm well aware that you are probably in the vast majority on that. Like, I would read all of it and learn all the steps and stuff, but you're like, I'm not doing that. So they have to have a quest system that introduces the nodes and shows how important the nodes are and stuff as a part of gameplay. You have to actually do it, not read about it. And so, yeah, I mean, I think that they should have something that it could even be a situation where before you go through the portal from Sanctus and land in Vera, you get diverted by the goddess of creation, and she puts you on this little one made for one player instance of the game, and you play through the scenario of leveling up a node to 1, and now what's available on the node because you leveled it up to 1, and that sort of thing, with maybe voiceover explaining it in your ear so you're not having to read it, and that way they understand what they're doing. And then we land on shit. Then she's like, okay, now that you have all the knowledge and information you need, go to Vera and spread out and do what you do. So
sure.
But the reality is that this is up to Intrepid. That's one of, in my opinion, it's one of the crucial things that they're gonna have to figure out. But they got, however long between now and launch to figure that out. So
and you know what it comes down to? It comes down to Fatui.
I'm sorry, what?
Steven uses this word in way too often, and it's an acronym, first time user interface, right? He says Fatui like it's just this thing that everyone knows. But it shows that they talk about it so much that they would rather say Fatui rather than first time user interface. So they're obviously thinking about this, right? They're obviously in their design meetings, they're going through, okay, the first time user, how do they interface with the world? So it is clearly a thought. And this test wasn't, for the first time users. This was trying to get server information and stuff like that. So we get it. But that's going to be something that I'll be watching very closely as time goes on. And what I plan to do, because we're going to play it so freaking much, we're going to understand it, back and forth. I mean, you probably already do. I want to put my son in the chair once the Fatui is all set up.
Yeah.
And I want to see if he understands what it is. He's 9. He'll probably be 11 by the time the game comes out. just saying. So I would like to see how he interprets and handles all that stuff.
Yeah. Okay, that's interesting. Okay, so now we're gonna move on to the ugly, and the ugly is, again, we are aware that this is a testing phase and all this stuff is going to change. But this is something that stood out to you that you're like, I understand that it's a testing phase, but I really, really think there should be more here, or this should be different, or they shouldn't have done this. Like something that you're just like, I personally would not have launched Alpha 2 with this particular thing as a thing. That's more what ugly is. So do you have something in mind for ugly?
I mean, the queues, I'm still not really sure the idea between only having 3 US servers, having 3 European servers, but 3 US servers. I thought that was a little strange because, bro, I sat in the queue on Friday night for 3.5 hours and I was like, it's a little, I mean, I can understand that they don't want to have to do server merges and stuff because the game relies so much on people in it, right? That people have to exist in Vera for the game to function properly. So I know they've thought about that and stuff. I just didn't like. I mean, set up a server that that
Imagine
you can
if the
take down.
queue system had worked. The
Yeah,
servers would have been
sure.
so, you wouldn't have been able to find a grinding spot.
Yeah.
So no, that's
But
really
I mean,
good.
but really, I don't. I had such low expectations, and I understood the nature of the test, right? That the test wasn't to test content. It wasn't to test the fact that we were even getting in and playing. Like I clicked. I was so I had never gotten in before, and so when I clicked launch game, and it pulled up the game, and I could create my character, and I could get into the game.
Right.
I was elated because
Right.
I had such low expectations. I was like, Alpha 2 test, this is back end testing essentially. So really, my ugly, I guess the server queues were annoying, but I had such low expectations that I really didn't have too many gripes. How about you?
Well, I realized while you were talking that I didn't get to my bad. You told your bad, and I
Oh,
didn't tell
okay.
my bad. So I'm going to go back to that, and then we'll circle back to the ugly. My bad, and this is like, again, we're aware that this is most likely to change. Although on this one, I'm not sure that it will change because I've thought about the design in my head, and I'm like, there might be some reasons for this. But I almost think that the downside of those reasons might not outweigh the positive side. So professional stream planners, ash piles / dead bodies not having a name on them. So the number of times I heard in my own Discord chat, people go, "Oh my God, who stole my stuff?" And then somebody else go, "Oh my bad, I didn't know whose stuff it was,"
That's
or
good
whatever. Maybe you only see the name of ash piles of people who died while in your group or in your raid group, but not random ash pile that you find in the woods somewhere or something like that. But the ash piles not having a name it definitely caused some problems. A little weird, and you ended up not getting your stuff back and all that stuff. Musical corpse chairs, Blendendorf says. Yeah.
Seriously.
But like I said, it could be on purpose because you don't know who died there, whatever. And that's why I was kind of saying, okay, maybe we can find a compromise where if they're in your group or your raid group, then you can see whose ash pile belongs to who. If you just walk in the woods and you see a random ash pile there, you could just take it or not, depending on, what you want to do. So bad design on purpose. Well, I don't think it's bad design. I think that you try lots of things and sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. And then the biggest thing is, are you willing to move on from it? Do you marry yourself to your ideas? In my life, I have found that the people that I struggle with the most just having conversations with or anything with are people who are absolutely married to their ideas. They tie their ego to their ideas. So if their idea is bad, then that deflates their own ego and they can't accept it. So yeah, you tried something, it didn't work, move on. Try again. That's the way I wouldn't look at that as bad design. I just look at it like design, and we're being flexible and we're moving on. So we'll see if they change anything. My ugly, my thing that I'm like, I get a lot of what happened. The server queues. I mean, I think there was no way around. We've been talking for 3 years about how server queues are going to be. Like, there's no way that was ever going to not be a problem. And the copper not spawning, that sucked. But I understand, these things happen or whatever. That wasn't intended. But the thing that they clearly released and just said, hey, we're going to send it like this, is the absolute dog shit guild UI.
Oh,
You can do
okay.
nothing. You can't promote, you can't demote, you can't make new hierarchies, you can't make new ranks, you can't see what level people are, what class people are. You can't click in the inventory or in the UI and invite people to your group. All you can see is who's in the guild and who's online or not. That's it. It has no other functionality whatsoever. I would have added a little more functionality before starting Alpha 2, but I don't get to make those choices.
Sure. I mean, but that's coming, right?
Yes, that's why I preface this by saying all this is going to change. This is just what I would not have shipped it like. I would have said, you know what? Let's spend. You can promote in a party. Promote to what? There's no way to make other ranks. What would you promote them to? There's no other ranks.
Party leader.
Just party leader. No, we're talking about the guild UI.
Yeah.
Sticky says you should have heard me when I first got in. I was hyped. Yeah, I was too.
Playing with a Zyback, he pointed out how you shouldn't have your own name above your character. Like on your UI, your
you
character
can change that.
Shouldn't. Can you? Is there a setting for it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Oh, okay. That's good. Yeah. So that's something
I'm
I need
weird.
to.
It may be pure narcissist. I don't know. I like to have my name above my character. I don't know what the reason for that is. Just vanity. I don't fucking know. But I like to see my name and my guild tag and all that. So yeah.
Sure.
So I disagree with Zyback there. But yes, I'm 90% sure that you can change it.
Okay.
And if you wanted to go back to the good, the UI editor, the state that the UI editor is in right now for a fucking way early alpha is amazing. That you can change almost everything. And I guess if you want to follow that path back to the ugly, I guess the font, the text size, I didn't have this problem personally, but people hate the font like with a fiery burning passion. People are talking about how they just quit the game and went on. They got in. Weren't sitting in the queues and they quit the game and left because they couldn't read the fucking font. So
I'm not a big fan of the font either. I've ever since doing this content creation thing, and when you told me you're like, Burns, your thumbnails need work, I went on a font journey.
Okay.
And it just started looking what fonts make sense, what don't, why, what do they try to convey. I took a class in college called Visual Rhetoric, where we even had like a full unit on fonts and stuff. And not really a fan of that font. It feels very placeholder, which is fine. As long as it's placeholder, that's fine with me. But yeah, definitely was not an attractive look.
I do want to go back to what you just said just now. I want you to know, you may not realize this, but it was after we had the conversation about your thumbnails that your channel exploded. And I do take full credit for your channel success. all the credit. It's all mine.
I mean, honest, I stand like, I am so benefited by conversations with other creators. You especially, though, like when we were talking, you're like, hey, you said your line, right? The one that you said a few times about how there are tens of millions of really, really good videos out there that zero people watch because they're packaged poorly, thumbnail and title are bad. And just the way you explained it to me, I was like, oh, okay, sounds good. So then I think I did a couple videos, and then the botting one was that one after that. And I was like, let's try Zillion's method a little bit. And then sure enough, I was like,
exploded. Yeah.
Guess he was right, but I'll never tell him that. So.
Yeah. Don't ever admit that shit. So yeah, that's pretty funny. Dolium, the king of memes, jumped in the chat. What's going on, Dolium? How you doing, man? I hope you're having a good time, having a good day, and I hope you had a fucking awesome time playing Alpha 2 this weekend. I hope you were able to get in game. I know there were some people out there who couldn't. Ronan McConnon says, I don't know, I like sketchy fonts. See, so you'll laugh about this. Since we're having a conversation about thumbnails and stuff. In that video series that I did the week before Alpha 2 launched, where I was going through all my experiences in Alpha 2, somebody commented, I forget what the original comment was, but somebody jumped in afterwards and were like, yeah, Zillion doesn't know how to do editing. he all he can do is talk to the camera and just look at those disgusting thumbnails and with the vomiting emoji. And it's funny because no matter how long I've been doing this, I get shit on for my thumbnails and a lot of times for font choice. And I am not discerning at all when it comes to fonts. I have no problem reading as long as the font isn't Wingdings where you're replacing letters with you know,
right.
I can read any font. I have no problems reading fonts. And so I guess I'm in the minority or I don't know. But I still get shit on for my font selection even today. And I will admit that it has somewhat created something of a complex where every time I'm making a thumbnail, I'm like, I don't know. No. I was actually petitioning my chat yesterday to somebody that knows about fonts come help me out with my thumbnails. There you go.
Dude, speaking of thumbnails real quick, at the end of the video, do you mind if we poll the crowd on, because I'm in between two thumbnails for my next video?
Okay. How would you put your by me dragging it on the screen? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Is that okay? I don't want to make this stream all about my stuff.
Well, I mean, I usually make it all about me, so I guess this time it's your turn.
Ah, good. Finally, it's my turn.
It's your
Finally.
So yeah, you can go ahead and send those over to me, and
yeah.
I will.
Okay, I'll do that.
I will ask the community. Let's see those nails. The vanilla WoW font was terrible and amazing. Okay. See, I don't know about all these thumbs. MF Cracker says your thumbnails got me to watch all your soul videos and revive your channel. Fuck them. Yeah, I feel like I don't like my thumbnails aren't awful. I mean, I could it be better? Obviously, always you can always do a better job.
No. Yeah, and bro, I mean, the proof is in the pudding, right? Like your videos do very well. And
I wanted to respond with my channel's 12.1 CTR. It proves you wrong, but they're not gonna know what that means, and they're just an idiot. So I'll move down with my life.
Yep. No, man. I would say you do very well with that.
Oh, here's a fucking comment. Combat Sack says, I have no friends, nor do I want any. Is this game dead to me, or can I find a home in this world?
Interesting.
I will tell you this, Combat, because I was in the pre-testing and we started over a bunch of times in the pre-testing over the last 3 months, I've gotten to start several different times. And one of the things I've done is I tried to do it differently. And one time what I did was I spent the entire weekend playing solo. I didn't join any groups. I just tried to play by myself and come up with a effective strategy for playing by myself. I can tell you that it is, it's not as efficient. You're never going to be as efficient doing it by yourself, especially the crafting, because the crafting takes a very long time, even when you have the support of a guild and friends. But it can be done. And I one of the videos I want to put out, the only reason it's not out this week is because I couldn't get footage last weekend. But I want to put out a video explaining how you can play this game solo. It's not going to, my serious advice is if you really just want to play solo, there are like 500 MMOs that exist for that. And this is not the one. But if you love other things about this game, the graphics, the combat, whatever, it can be done. So I think that's going to be up to you.
Bro, playing solo, I think there's a lot of potential. It's obviously not the most efficient pathway, but if you are a master gatherer, you pick two things in the gathering tree to just be the bomb at, right? Gathering is a very solo thing. Yeah, they've talked about like group gathering and stuff like that. But if you go out and you're clipping rare herbs in these spawn locations that only you know about, and then you go and sell that, you have a distributor or something like that. I think there are a lot of niches. This game allows for many niches.
Yeah.
And a solo player with the right mindset could
yes,
fit very well into that and be a functioning part of the world without having to go into a Discord. Now, I mean, like I just said, more efficient to be in a Discord and be learning and playing with other people. But if you're gonna play by yourself, dude, the world is beautiful. It's immersive. It is a fun experience that I still think with the right mindset you could.
Right. No, I think that you can with your right mindset. A couple of interesting things here. Planendorf just said there are some guilds saying that solo is a faster leveling process, but that you can't get best in slot gear. So maybe it falls off after level 14 or something. My experience, Planendorf, is that is absolutely not true. Maybe if you get somebody to twink you some gear early, because gear, just FYI for everybody who's doesn't know this, gear means way more than levels in this game right now, like way more. So if somebody twinks you some gear, maybe, and then even then it would be certain classes like Bard in particular would be pretty good at it. But the downtime in between killing something is just too long, in my opinion, to make solo leveling the most efficient thing. So
and solo leveling is tough too, because I tried to be, and I thought about making a montage of this. I would throw heals off to random people.
Yeah.
And, just if I saw it, I was on the road, I didn't have my mount
happened to
yet,
me a lot.
and I saw, and I saw a lot of people were, I saw their quartile health was down. I just throw them a couple heals. I would, in all caps, say subscribe to the Copium Clinic and just spam that over and over. But I'd throw them heals, No, I didn't. I did not do that. But yeah, because people will sit. If you are a solo player, you're a DPS, right? Like, you will have low health, and you have to go and sit, as opposed to having a cleric in your group where they can top you off again all the time.
Right.
Magic Pipe and I played together for a while, and while we didn't have high DPS because he was a bard, I was a cleric, it worked because I constantly had mana and he constantly had health.
Right.
And so
right.
It worked.
And yes, duo works great. It works great. I just solo, but by yourself, to me, didn't work. Another little comment here. Because there's something I've been talking about for a while from Rikishi. He said, "Will we be able to mail between our own characters?" Do you have a take on that, Burns?
Yeah, I mean, this, I got a message from one of my friends who wanted to play, and I asked him, the first thing I did is, because this was on Sunday, I said, "Where are you?" And he said, "Oh, I'm in New Ayla." And I said, "Bro, I don't know how much time you have. If you want to group up, it's going to take a minute, because distance in this game is felt."
Yes.
Right? It matters.
Yes.
There is no fast travel. You're not going to be, shipping things. It is you manually cover these distances, and it provides a lot of, I guess, scarcity, meaning, stakes, just by having the distance matter. I liked it. It felt immersive. I had to be in the world. I wasn't just, my mind wasn't paving myself over to, okay, I go to this hotspot to then travel to this fast travel place. And then I go to actually had to figure out, had to run through the world. So yeah, mailing stuff, I don't think is going to be a thing.
Right. So my answer is no, under no circumstances.
Yeah.
Because that completely negates the caravan system. If I can get those commodities across the world by mailing it to my own character. Now, I did think about the commodities have a size. So if the mail worked in the same way as your inventory works, where all you have is one small square thing, so you could mail something like a weapon. Well, but even then, now you're still moving goods across the country through mail.
Yep.
Like money only. Money only.
Money only. I mean, I could kind of understand money only. Although that very very RMT-y, right?
Yeah, RMT friendly. Yeah.
Yeah, very RMT friendly.
Yeah.
So
So yeah, my answer would be no. There will not be mailing stuff to your own characters, because that negates And then
And
so Plandor said,
all of
I
that
had a
would
copper
not-
trade happen in
yeah.
a forest in the dead of night, so we didn't get ganked. Felt like a high stakes drug deal for T1 materials. It was awesome. And he said all of that wouldn't happen if you had mail. Plandor, that is absolutely the perfect answer. I'm just gonna copy that. Your story just became my story. Whenever I have to answer that question, I'm just gonna tell that story in first person as if it happened to me. That's wonderful, man. It felt like a high stakes drug deal. Oh,
Dude,
man,
there
that's
were
funny.
so many moments that I had where it was like, just like, this is what gaming should feel
Should
like.
feel like
The
what MMO
fundamental
should feel like.
designs. Yes. The designs here are proper. It is difficult. My brain is engaged. It was just a good time. I mean, I had to get used to the UI and change stuff around quite a bit to my liking. But once I got that, I mean, it was smooth. I had a really, really good time with it.
I did too. I really had a great time. It really was a lot of fun. So here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna splash a thumbnail up on the screen. We're gonna make it a little bigger here.
Thanks for popping in.
Do you want to tell people the name of this video, the title,
Sure. Yeah.
so that helps them with their thumbnail choices? Okay.
Yeah, like it has to do with like uh, launch date and timeline. So
Launch date and timeline.
something in that milieu
Okay.
of
So the
titles.
title of the video will be "This is exactly when Ash of the Creation will launch." Okay, and exactly will be all capitalized. So
I mean,
I got you, bro. I got you. So
I was told you can clickbait as long as the video is good. If the video sucks and you clickbait, screw you. Is what I've
there's a
been told.
lot of fucking truth in that, bro. There's a lot of truth in that. Oh god. Okay. So here you go, guys. Here are two different thumbnails. And let's see. The thumbnail. Oh, I'm gonna do left and right. So I know there's a way to do manage a poll, create a new poll, question. Which thumbnail is best? And response is left thumbnail.
Bro, right now we are 1-1. So Lulu loves the clock, and Click to Preview loves the timeline. We are here one.
All right, we are going to launch that. So that poll is up now. So you guys should be able to
We're dead even, right? I mean, honestly, okay. Now we're at 3-2. Oh, 4-2. Okay.
Who is that?
Oh,
Shinaso, thank you for the follow. Appreciate it, man.
okay. All right.
So,
looks like generally people like the timeline one a bit more. Okay.
I personally, if I'm not going to vote, but if I had a vote, I would choose the left one as well. I think it conveys the idea better. The right one, it's it's cool looking as hell, but it's like whatever. But the left one conveys the idea better. So that's. Can I poll YouTube? Do I know how to poll YouTube? Hold on.
Okay, I mean YouTube is just saying though. Dolium, I think I'm gonna do this for the next thumbnail. It's gonna be like, oh, when's the video coming? When is the game coming?
I'm gonna go ahead and admit right now I do not know how to poll YouTube.
That's fine. It sounds like everyone on YouTube says the one on the left, which is
okay.
And like 3 or 4.
Okay.
Okay. No.
My objective
is the one on the right.
My objective now is to learn how to poll YouTube before my next stream. that's the new objective. So yeah, I don't see any option in there like super obvious. Not that it might still exist.
Yeah,
we're 9-2.
Beta 1 2025. It is a little bit of clickbait. It is planned to be that way. I'm not convinced that Beta 1 will be in 2025. I actually think it's going to be 2026, but that probably won't get as many people to click on the video. Just saying. Saying.
You're one of those dirty, dirty, disgusting content creators, clickbaiters. It's just awful. It's the worst.
Here's the thing. I have such faith that the videos that I put out provide some kind of benefit to either the conversation in Ashes or the discussion around it, that I want people to click on my videos, and I'm okay to clickbait just a little bit
Right.
to cause that.
Right. No, I'm right there with you. And I mean, you know my spiel, and you repeated it earlier. The YouTube graveyard is filled with tens of millions of views, or not views, of videos that are made by talented people, and they're fantastic videos that nobody watched because their creators stood on principle and said, "I'll never clickbait or I'll never sensationalize." It's like, okay, that's fine, but you're going to spend 36 hours working on this video, and 12 people are going to watch it. Okay, so Zillan created a monster for thumbnail. Yeah, I did.
Yes.
What's really funny is, and you can take this however people want to take it. I have had conversations, most of these conversations prompted by other creators asking me questions, not me being like, "Hey, can I help you out a little bit?" I will admit with Q, I was like, "Q, come here, let me let me try to help you out a little bit." But with most of these people, they come to me and say, "Hey, like, what am I doing wrong?" That sort of thing. I've had conversations with almost every Ashes creator of relevance, and I swear to God, the only one of them who listened and said, "You know what, I'm going to take this into effect," is you, and your channel blew up. So hey. Click to preview says A/B test them, then you'll know for sure. Yeah, just FYI, click to preview. The A/B testing is basically borked on YouTube right now. It doesn't really work. People are putting up the exact same thumbnail 3 times for ABC testing, and you don't get 33%, 33%, and 33%, which is what you should get. If you put the same thumbnail for all 3, it'll be like 80-20 or 80-15 and 5. So that's something, it's borked. It doesn't work yet. So.
And the results, it takes 2 weeks.
And yes. So I will say that
a video
now
dies with Ashes 24 hours, essentially.
Not now. We're good now. Mostly. Mostly.
You're good now. You're good. My most recent video, like, I got 90% of the views in the first 24 hours,
yeah.
and then about 10% after.
Yeah. Pretty soon it's going to be, especially, okay, I'll say this, December 20. When we're 5 days instead of 3, sure. I think it'll be more like that. People will be looking. But also, if you make videos that people are going to be looking for over time, like how to get a wolf mount,
sure.
People are going to, guide content will continue to get watched over time. So we binge watch your video, Doc. Yeah, we do. Okay. So the last thing that I have here as we click down on our timing on our thing. I mean, I think it's pretty much over, but I'm gonna let the clock run out on this. Final thoughts. So do you got something, a message about Alpha 2 that you want to get out there, or just something that you thought, something that you see?
Ready to serve, my lord.
Nikki Stacks, thank you for the follow. Appreciate it, man. Really do. Yeah, Burns, final thoughts.
Final thoughts. The game is going to be so good. This showed.
Ready to serve, my lord.
Nova Kane, thank you for the follow.
That that they have a solid foundation. They have worked on things beyond what they're showing us too. This was a back-end test. The fact that they have horse animation swimming in blew my mind. I was like, because it actually, the horse's movement changes when it gets in the water.
Yes, it does.
And I was like, what?
I mean, why are we gonna ignore the irony of the New World player being blown away by swimming physics? We're just gonna brush right past that. Okay, let's go.
Yes. Yeah, and swimming backwards. Seriously. So there are so many things that they have worked on that I don't know how much of the other biomes or whatever are done. I don't think it matters. Intrepid has already given dates on when, how long they expect Alpha 2 to launch. They've already talked about, we are going to hire contractors. I think we are 2 years away from this game full launch, and I can't wait for it.
Yep. That's interesting that you got 2 years. I've been saying two to 2.5 years. But that is based on, if I wasn't in the pre-alpha 2 testing and I didn't hear a lot of the things that Steven and them said to us on the Discord stage, I might not be as optimistic, but they, in answer to a lot of questions about where is this feature, why isn't this in there yet, etc., it was, this test is about server performance and server stability. We've taken that out for now. So it's like, if he's not lying, on December 20th, when we finish this first phase of testing and they say, okay, the servers are stable now, we can start adding stuff in, they start dropping in all these features that we've been waiting on, you know, then maybe you are actually looking at a 2 year to 2.5 year before launch. But that being said,
Yep.
I was wrong about how long it would take Alpha 2 for the entirety of my whole life. So you know, there is that. Before we close out, well, actually, there was a question that I thought you might want to answer. Vex, actually, he said, question, when you guys are making content, are you aiming for people who know about Ashes, or do you try to snag new viewers new to Ashes?
I love this question.
I thought, yeah, I knew you would.
Never want to abandon my current subscribers.
Yep.
If I start making content saying the most, for lack of a word, I mean, basic bitch information, right? I don't want to bore heavily invested Ashes people. My goal is for content creators and the nerdiest of nerd people in chat to learn something new every single video that I put out.
Right.
So I don't want to, I would be abandoning my subscribers if I just started doing just, hey, here's this basic thing. You already know this. I'm just saying it because I'm trying to get clicks. I would feel bad about myself. I would want my subscribers to unsubscribe from me if they felt like, you know, my quality went down, if I wasn't really adding anything new to advance the discussion. So yeah, it's a fantastic question. Where it would be nice, and that's why I have to clickbait just a little bit, right? Mm-hmm. Because I do want to try to pull some new people, and I want my channel to grow, obviously, but I don't think you have to dumb down your content in order to get new people to your channel. I talked to my cousin who he knows nothing about Ashes, but he watched it. He understands MMOs a little bit. He's like, yeah, you got pretty deep on some stuff, but he's like, other stuff I thought was really interesting. And it's like, hey, cool, good. That's fine. I'm fine with that balance of it being a little bit too advanced for some people. But if you're at all interested in Ashes, I want my videos to provide something for you, no matter where you are on the knowledge spectrum. Yep. How about you?
Well, my take on this is so much different than yours, but it's only because we plan to make very different types of content.
Yeah, right.
So over the last 3 years between Alpha 1 and Alpha 2, I bounced around a little bit between trying to just make content for Ashes people and trying to bring new people into the Ashes space with my content. And I tried a little bit, like I made a couple of videos like why World of Warcraft players should be excited for Ashes of Creation,
sure,
comparing New World and Ashes of Creation, that sort of thing. But the reason I stopped making content, or almost, I didn't completely stop because I didn't ever want to just be out of the space and forgotten. But the reason why I slowed way down is because that is not the type of content that I want to make. I am a coach. Like that's what I do. I that's where I'm at my best. And when I made guide content for SWTOR, we've said this before, that it's my most popular content. People really like that type of content. And there's a lot of comments in there about how good I am specifically at that. So that's what I want to do. I want to make guide content. I want to make, so you said, you want them to come there and feel and learn something new, to never feel like they're not learning anything new.
Bro, I think with guide content, if it's good enough, people will still learn.
Well, I want you to feel like you're going to be better at the game. That's my goal.
100%.
I want you to be like, oh, okay, I understand this now. Now I'm going to be better at my fighter build guide, or now I know how to find a wolf mount or whatever. So that's my objective now when I'm making content. For the last 3 years, my objective has been wishy-washy and all over the place, which is why my content was wishy-washy and all over the place, because I didn't know who I was as a content creator. I actually almost made a video. I sat down and recorded it. I never released it. And the video was titled literally, "I don't want to be a content creator." The crux of the video was, I want to be an Ashes of Creation content creator, not a content creator. Because I have other things that I'm passionate about that I could make content about, but I just don't want to. I want to make it for Ashes. And so I was all over the place. I didn't know who I was as a content creator. But now the game's actually here, and I have all these video ideas in my head. It's like my early days of Ashes content, but back before Alpha 1, they're always like video. I have so many ideas. So yeah, my objective is for you to feel like you are going to be better. Your time spent in Ashes Creation is going to be better because you watched one of my videos. There you go. That's the answer to the question.
Love it, dude.
Yeah. And I liked your answer too. You're exactly right. When you're doing analysis content, that you've got to teach people new things, otherwise they're not going to come back. Like Master Chief unsubbing from your channel just now. I mean, it is what it is.
Was it Mod Tech? Unsubscribed. Comic guy.
That guy too. Yes, it's perfect. It's absolutely perfect. Okay, so before we get out of here, do you want to address the DDoS situation at all? Do you have any thoughts on the DDoS situation? Go ahead.
I'm glad that it happened first weekend, and they flexed their muscles at the end of it, showing, hey, we got DDoSed. We're still going online. Check us out. Like, we actually did resolve it. It's not like they are still drowning in all these requests right now. They got through it. They went live back again. It was only for 15 minutes, but they did it. And I thought they handled that really well. It was disappointing not being able to play, but hey, I'm glad it happened, and they can improve and learn from here.
Okay. That's interesting because I don't think they solved it. Like Steven's message said, we're getting hit with redirected attacks. And that's why they took the servers down.
Oh, but his last one though, when he said, no, I'm calling it. Like he said that.
Yeah, we definitely got different news out of that. It's funny how two people can read the same thing and get different. So he said, Alpha 2, Glorious Testers, unfortunately, we are continuing to experience redirected attacks against a number of our games and web services. So I don't think they solved
it was still functional, right? I mean, they still, after the initial attack, they were able to get things back on track. So I think it was good experience for them. And
it's definitely good experience. Here is my concern. I'm going to give you my concern, because I think this is a more legitimate concern than a lot of people. A lot of people are just like, oh, well, they'll fix the DDoS attacks and they'll be back next weekend. Steven is already quoted as saying during one of the more recent live streams that Alpha 2 can't last forever, money-wise.
Right.
Every time they bring up a server, every time they do anything, it's costing them money constantly. Every time we're in the middle of a test, it's costing them money, costing them money. I went on we didn't have shit else to do on Sunday, so I went on like a DDoS attack crash course, right? And what I have found, from what I can understand, and of course I'm not an expert, but what I found is that the only real way to prevent DDoS attacks from taking you out is to expand your infrastructure. Basically, a DDoS attack is, if you imagine a pipe, they're putting too much stuff through the pipe, and so it blocks up the pipe, and you can't get, because too much is going through there. The only way to do it is to build a bigger pipe, which is just going to make it cost more money for them to do Alpha 2. And so if this malicious attacker, whoever this is persistent enough and has the pockets, and from what I understand, launching a DDoS attack is not that expensive, but it does cost something. If they are persistent and they just want to knock out every weekend after weekend after weekend until Intrepid expands their infrastructure, expands their account with Cloudflare to allow more authorizations per minute and all that type of stuff, which just costs more and more and more and more and more money. From what I understand, there's not a real way they can stop these DDoS attacks, with the caveat that I'm not a fucking expert. It's what I've read in several different places. That's pretty much what I gather.
Yeah. Well said.
So that's my concern, is that depending on how how malicious this attacker wants to be, how persistent how much they really want to stop. Like how much money does Blizzard have? That's the question. Because they're the ones behind this. Yeah.
Well said.
Yeah. So that's how I feel about that. Guys, I want to thank you guys all for coming and hanging out with me and Burns on this autopsy. The plan is to do an autopsy like this with good, bad, and ugly, and break down really what happened in the test. All of the tests going forward, at least until December 20th. So every Tuesday night, be here. Most times it'll be Burns. When it's not, I'll find somebody better, and it'll be a better show. But the most time I'll just slum it with Burns. So I really, really appreciate you guys all coming and hanging out. Burns, I know he appreciates it as well. For the people who subbed today, thank you for the subs. Penumbral, thank you for the $20. I'll be able to afford quite a bit more views on my next YouTube channel or my next YouTube video. So I really, really appreciate that. Let's see who is live in the Ashes category right now that we can go raid.
Lore Forged, Voices of Vera, they got rated by Jamie. And then let's see. Wolfheart is streaming Baldur's Gate 3 right now, but he was streaming Ashes this weekend.
Okay, let's hit Lore Forged. Let's hit Lore Forged like we've been doing a lot of times on Tuesday nights. Again, guys, we appreciate y'all so much and everything y'all do, coming and hanging out with us and actually caring what we had to say and all that. You guys are incredible. So thank you guys so much. And we'll see y'all in the next one. Bye, y'all.
See you guys.